Curiosity has always gotten the best of me. This continued to be true as my two fellow travelers, Josh and Jack, sat with me in a peaceful plaza in the eastern Slovakian city of Kosice, deciding where we would go next. We set our eyes east to Ukraine, a country that was the victim of a prolonged conflict against its Russian aggressors. However, this only served to heighten our curiosity as we began to wonder, what was life like on the ground in Ukraine? What were the people like? How would they be living under a war? With the Ukrainian border a mere train ride away, we set off on our journey to the western part of Ukraine in search of hopefully some answers and a great adventure and a story to tell everybody.
Very small train. I saved them. I saved the boys. I found the button.
Last stop before the border, we're somehow 20 minutes ahead of schedule, so might have to wait a while. Border check.
Where do you travel? Chop. And what's your purpose of visit?
Just to look around.
Look around?
Yeah.
Tourist?
Yes. And this is our return ticket.
Return ticket?
27th today.
And you have a Ukrainian visa?
It's visa free,
Visa free?
according to the website.
And now, where do you come from?
We came from Slovakia.
Slovakia?
You're living here?
Living
Oh,
here
no,
in
no,
Slovakia?
we're living in Hong Kong. This one.
Yeah. So, and you are traveling from China
We
to
traveled
Slovakia.
from Hong Kong to Budapest.
to Budapest and
And
from
then to
Budapest to
Slovakia.
Slovakia. Yeah. Don't see your visa. Visa don't you have?
Visa was in Amsterdam because we flew into Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. And where is this?
Schiphol, Amsterdam Schiphol.
And it will be problem when you come today back to the Schengen states
Yes.
because you haven't visa, Slovak visa. You
So a
understand?
visa or
Yeah.
any other country? Visa from any other country you have?
Or
You
you
must have,
haven't.
you must
You must have a residential permit or
or visa
visa.
to the country of the European Union country.
It wasn't looking good. The two officers were concerned that if we left the Schengen area, we would not be able to return, as they believed that we did not have the proper visa in order to come back in.
So this is why I'm asking. You are coming from China to Amsterdam,
Yes.
and they don't ask from you visa.
That's visa free.
It's visa free.
Visa free, yes.
Amsterdam
Yes. Schengen.
Schengen
EU
is visa free?
Visa free, yes.
for no.
Hong Kong is visa free, yes.
Hong Kong is visa free. Ah,
Not
maybe,
China,
maybe,
Hong Kong.
maybe. Okay,
Different.
okay. It's different.
But thanks to the patience, diligence, intelligence, and communication skills of these two Slovak officers, they eventually began to deduce that our passports were not, in fact, just any Chinese passports. They were Hong Kong passports, a completely different thing. We informed them that our Hong Kong passports did indeed have visa-free travel to the EU, and they returned to their station to confirm with the headquarters that our passports were indeed visa-free.
So you have the food. Okay. It's a visa free.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I could certainly imagine that they did not get a lot of travelers holding Hong Kong passports on the border between Slovakia and Ukraine.
Let's see what the stamps are. Into Ukraine. Stamps. Boom, Ukraine. We are in Ukraine, boys.
As the train rolled into the station, it immediately became apparent just how guarded this country was. Everywhere, men and women, fully clad in their military clothing, watched as our train slowly came to a stop. We headed towards the immigration, the final barrier we would have to pass through before we could finally enter Ukraine. Unfortunately, the exact same issue occurred once again.
I think they're checking his Hong Kong passport right now. Oops. They don't know the difference between Hong Kong and Hong Kong passport and China passport. But then again, I bet this border checkpoint doesn't get a lot of Hong Kong passports running through it. Would it be cool if we were actually the first ever to run a Hong Kong passport through here?
You know, for 14 days only. Do you understand?
Як говориш?
We are trying to visit as many countries as possible, so we thought we'd come to Ukraine really quickly, and then we'd go back to Slovakia. This afternoon we have tickets.
In your passport, not very much immigration service of any countries stamp, you know?
Oh yeah, because
Why? Only Slovakia?
We flew into Amsterdam and then went to Budapest.
What will you do here?
walk
Just
around
walk around.
Okay, and then
come back here at
come back? It's
Four.
It is a return ticket?
today.
Can I...
Хочу скосить.
Їх словаки що, вернули чи що?
Ні, ми приїхали сюди як туристи.
Я думав, що може вернути.
Made it.
I did. He's like, oh, say something to me. I was like, 我会中文. He's like,
Wait, that's not even right, bro. What we doing when it's not even Chinese, dog? That's just grammatically wrong. Dude, you should have. You should have.
I said 我会说中文.
讲中文.
They both.
When this guy was going in, they were like, oh, so what is your purpose of visit? And he's like, tourism. And then they're like, here? And then they're like, are you going anywhere else? And he's like, no, I'm in Chop. And he's like, interesting. Who the fuck comes here?
Alright, we have just walked into a bar, and turns out they do not take euros or card.
So we're off to an adventure to find Ukrainian dollars. Couch of all time.
So we just Google translated a conversation to the Ukrainian waiter, and we got her to pick 2 pizzas and 1 pasta for us, but we have no idea what they are because we weren't bothered to translate the entire menu.
I know something has chicken.
Yeah, chicken right. Don't even think cola is universal. Cola, I mean, yeah, it's a brand. It's gonna be universal.
Why does food look so good in Ukraine?
Wait, we could order like 5 of these.
Wait, yeah, we could get more.
We could get more food. No, not worth 150 in Hong Kong.
That's how much they cost you for something like this. I think. Yeah, I wake up in the morning. Yeah.
Say hi. We're heading to the stadium of this town. We'll see if it's actually got something going on.
It was at this moment that things got a little bit dicey. While we were just chilling and having fun at the local football field, we were approached by a Ukrainian man who gravely warned us of something that we were doing.
I don't know how much of that I got on camera, but we got a plainclothes. I don't know. I think he's not just like police. I think he's like military or. It's a guy that came up to us and was just like, "Piece of trouble," yeah, and then flashed an ID of like a Ukrainian badge, and then was like checking our passports and like making sure that we're the same idiots from the train station that the entire town knows about now. Just like tells us through a Google Translate conversation that we can't take photos of military objects, and like he's super nice about it and like patient with the language barrier and whatnot. I love that like we're just like the talk of the town. And that we're like so important that we literally have like an officer who was just like undercover and just trailing us the entire day.
We're famous. I'm about to get a Wikipedia page written about it.
A man arrested in Ukraine.
Stalked the news. Oh no.
Accused of spying.
Hi.
We did a little bit more of exploring, interacting with different individuals, albeit with a lot of struggle, trying locally baked croissants and ice creams. After a good bit of exploration though, it was finally time to depart.
We're leaving Ukraine. We're not stuck here. We're not getting sent to the front line. Safely departed and hopefully get it over the Slovakian border. Not the same troubles as last time. Optimistically, it'll be the same guys, and they'll recognize that it's all visa free, but might have to go through a whole shebang again.
You don't have any meat, right? No. Sausages. Nothing. This is camera?
God bless, we're finally moving again, but we're at least like 45 minutes behind schedule, so I don't know if we're gonna make the connection. Rip. Hey, that's the completion of the Ukraine Sidequest. Lots of fun and lots of content. Bit of a rush to catch the next train, we gotta move.
It was evident that Ukraine was a country at war. Far from the front lines, life largely continued as normal, However, the atmosphere was tense, and the signs of a nation at war were evident from all angles. It was almost uncanny. The low costs indicated some sort of economic despair. Men were far and few between, and everywhere we stepped, we were watched. In reflection, we could do no more than simply hope that such a terrible conflict would be able to end soon. However, our next challenge loomed ahead of us as we looked forth to the Tatras Mountains on the border between Slovakia and Poland, a challenge of unprecedented levels that we had never experienced before.
This is a better view of what we're up against. Welcome to Starba. Beautiful skies. Off the train. No train here, bro. This brother didn't even look at his own train schedule. Yeah, I'm eating my so fucking beautiful, bro. I don't think go from Ukraine to this in one day. Oh shit, what the fuck?